Caitlin Clark being embraced by Diana Taurasi after the Fever beat the Mercury in that game and they played each other was one of the coolest moments of the WNBA season.
Remember when Diana Taurasi said that Caitlin Clark would receive a reality check in the WNBA? Well, guess who's cashing that check? Now, in her Nike interview, Clark dropped a bombshell that has Taurasi looking like she needs a wake-up call. When asked about her favorite matchup this season, Clark didn't hesitate to name Rhea herself. That's right, the rookie chose the so-called GOAT as her favorite opponent. We wonder why. Perhaps because every time they meet, Clark leaves with the dignity of the...
Well, I cannot believe we are fixing to have a talk about this particular player in the WNBA because I thought she was supposed to be gone.
A reality check when the WNBA legend chose to replace Caitlin Clark with a college phenom. Taurasi wasn't subtle about it. Rather, she essentially warned Clark that life in the pros would humble her and that her Iowa heroics wouldn't translate to the WNBA. It was the quintessential veteran move, attempting to establish dominance before the rookie even set foot on the court. Those two words from Diana Taurasi became the plot point that defined Caitlin Clark's rookie season before it even started.
Look, SVP, reality is coming.
Okay.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it. You look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time. But there is going to be a transition period where you're going to have to give yourself some grace as a rookie, and it might take a little bit longer for some people.
However, what happens when the reality check backfires on the person who issued it? That's precisely what happened this season when Clark and Taurasi finally faced off. Instead of shrinking under the spotlight or wilt under the weight of facing a legend, Clark entered the court with the assurance of someone who truly belonged there.
Physically demanding.
No, it is extremely difficult. Just one, not only physically, but also mentally staying in it.
Go against another team here. They've been chomping at the bit. It's Taurasi, what a spin! Taurasi a finish.
Man.
A 20-year veteran, Diana Taurasi, dialing back. And it's Clark on the other end.
The statistics don't lie, and they reveal a humiliating tale of Taurasi's head-to-head record. Clark was superior in almost every statistical category, including points, assists, efficiency, and more. This wasn't simply a rookie holding her own. It was a rookie making a statement against one of the best players in history.
Obviously, a lot was made of this matchup between yourself and Diana Taurasi. I know she's one of your idols. How big is it for you to get a win here against her today?
I'm just happy we won. It was cool to play against her, and obviously a really great game. And like you said, this crowd was absolutely incredible.
As these matches went on, did you notice how Taza's entire demeanor changed? At first, there was that assured swagger that we've seen for decades, the expression that goes, "I've seen rookies come and go," but as Clark kept getting better, that confidence turned into obvious frustration. The veteran's body language revealed that she wasn't just losing the battle on the stat sheet, she was also losing the psychological edge that had defined her career.
Why did that matter? Because she made the whole reality is coming comments, and she was also and is also maybe the biggest figure in the history of the sport, certainly in that conversation, right? And when she said the reality is coming thing, that kind of became the mantra to Clark's rookie season.
Basketball analysts noted something amazing about this power change, which made it so exciting to see the hunter turn into the hunted. Think about it for a moment. The rookie was going after the legend, not the other way around. The basketball world couldn't believe what they were witnessing. Clark wasn't simply surviving against Taurasi, she was actively hunting her down during their games.
It's kind of like when you go from kindergarten to first grade, there's a learning adjustment. When you go from high school to college, there's a learning adjustment. I don't think I said anything that wasn't factually correct, and like anything, greatness is going to translate, and she's proven that in every level, and I don't see it being any different in the WNBA.
It's amazing what Caitlin's been able to do in a short career so far. It's nothing short of remarkable coming from someone who rarely gives credit easily. Even Taurasi herself had to acknowledge what was happening after one particularly dominant performance by Clark Taurasi. That statement speaks volumes about how completely the tables had turned.
It's amazing, what Caitlin's been able to do in her short career so far has just been nothing short of remarkable.
As if this competition couldn't be any more intense, in what appeared to be a harmless Nike promotional film, Caitlin Clark chose to douse the flames with petrol. When Clark was posed a straightforward question that had a dozen possible answers, she opted for violence. And her response about her favorite matchup had Diana go for the cold pack once more.
So in your career, you got to match up against other Nike hoopers. Do you have a favorite matchup?
You're gonna get me in trouble. Honestly, I'll just say DT because she's such an icon in our sport and has been in the game for so long. You know, getting to share the court with her was pretty fun, and you just see her competitive spirit. Even though you're not on her team, you can just feel it as a competitor.
Did you notice that Clark was sitting there when asked which Nike athlete she liked best in the 2024 season? She could have chosen Angel Reese, who has a long history with the team, or she could have chosen league MVP Aaron Wilson, but Clark knew exactly what she wanted to say.
By the way, Caitlin Clark has made some remarks about Diana Taurasi, and it seems the one player she had the most fun taking to the woodshed, and who could blame her after there's going to be a reality check. Yeah, you're right. You got swept by the rookie, destroyed, obliterated. Caitlin Clark made some comments, and she has come out and said, basically, crushing Diana Taurasi was her favorite part of last year.
They're going to cause me problems. She paused just a little bit, indicating that something delicious was about to happen, and then dropped a DT, just two initials that reveal a lot about the person Clark had on her radar during the entire season.
We know what she said. We all remember it. There's going to be a transition period. There's going to be a reality check. Yada, yada, yada. All right? Caitlin Clark ultimately got the last laugh over Taurasi. The 23-year-old still made sure to pay respect to one of the league's most decorated players.
However, the story is best told by the way she stated it. When Clark referred to Taurasi as an icon in our sport, she wasn't only lip service. What transpired next was brilliant. On the surface, Clark explicitly praised Taza's competitive spirit, which seems like respect, but if you look closer, you'll see the brilliant shade. In addition to praising Terry's fire, Clark was quietly hinting that she had overcome her renowned competitive drive and triumphed.
That's about as close as you're going to get to Caitlin Clark saying, I loved obliterating her and turning her into particles and dust. I mean, seriously. And we know how Taurasi came back, tried to back off her comments after she got the crap handed to her by Caitlin Clark on multiple occasions.
Clark's body language throughout the interview shows that her small smile isn't just a sign of courtesy. Rather, it's a display of confidence that she knows exactly what she has accomplished. Clark didn't need to trash speak or beat her chest. Her little smile told it all. I faced the so-called goatee and prevailed.
Yeah, again, reality checked. Yeah. She got a dose of her own medicine real fast, did she not? Talked all of that trash. That didn't work out very well for you at all.
Nike knew exactly what they were doing when they created this moment, and their marketing team is already positioning Clark as the new face of women's basketball, a transition that is happening faster than anyone anticipated. By highlighting Taysai as her favorite matchup, Clark was effectively saying, I didn't just arrive in this league, I conquered the mountain.
And of course, no one has more gravitas in the space than Taurasi. But when Taurasi sort of, deaded all that and embraced Clark, it felt like the moment a lot of the tensions would break down. Of course, that wasn't completely the case, as we've seen. But in that moment, it did feel like, all right, you've made it. You've earned it, right? Like, you've shown it. There's no fronting on your game.
This is made even more intriguing by the larger background of the Nike campaign, which has been creating a ton of buzz and fans expressing never-before-seen enthusiasm for her promotion. Clark's performances and these measured displays of audacity speak for themselves. She isn't only playing basketball, she is also playing chess with her public image. She no longer needs extensive promotion.
People certainly felt that way. And therefore, it was interesting to hear Caitlin Clark talk about Taurasi. Maybe it's because it's just been so long. I'm sure she talked about it at the time, but I don't remember the specific comments. This came as part of a Nike campaign. It wasn't some huge sit down or bare-all interview from Caitlin Clark, but nonetheless, it was interesting.
When you really examine how Clark presented her remarks about Taurasi as courteous, while yet including an undertone of "I've arrived," you're witnessing the epitome of how to ascend to the throne without coming across as disrespectful. While admitting the route to Taurasi pave, Clark is establishing herself as a dominant force.
But you could see, there's respect from Caitlin Clark there, and I'm sure Caitlin Clark is competitive playing Fortnite, just like she was competitive going back and forth with Diana Taurasi.
The throne, when was the last time you looked at viewership numbers? Clark is saying that it's not just a seat at the table anymore because we're seeing a full palace takeover that's changing women's basketball as we know it. This sharp increase for a rookie during Taz's Mercury's seat-filling struggles necessitated overflow sections in arenas hosting Clark games, and that change in fan focus is only the most obvious indication of a power shift occurring whether the old guard likes it or not.
And it's very interesting that all of a sudden a player that was supposed to, Diana Taurasi is supposed to retire, right? The old dinosaur is supposed to retire. Well, now you have outlets talking about landing spots for Diana Taurasi. Wait, come again?
With an iron will and a deadly jump shot, Diana Taurasi dominated women's basketball for almost 20 years. She won gold medals, individual honors, and championships, but at 42, she even suffered the mighty fall. What makes this situation so extraordinary isn't just Clark's talent. It's also the speed at which she's claiming titles.
Oh boy. However, Taurasi still has gas left in the tank. Does she? Has she put up 14.9 points a game, 3.8 and 3.4 assists, 2.4 three-pointers per game at 42 years old. Taurasi played in 36 of 40 games last season, and several teams would be fortunate to have her on the roster.
Have you noticed how teams now view Taurasi? Even though she averaged 14.9 points last season and is still impressive for her age, the league's whispers aren't about Taurasi the scorer anymore, but rather about Taurasi the teacher, mentor, and wise veteran who can teach younger players the ropes. If that doesn't tell you that your time is coming to an end, I don't know what does.
Making a big aggressive run at a fellow UConn legend might be the only way to convince Beckers to play in Dallas. She could mentor her and bridge the new era for the team. Yikes, would Taurasi come on as a mentor? Would she want to do that?
This new reality is aptly demonstrated by the Dallas Wings situation. Why would they want Taurasi to help develop their young core rather than lead them to a championship as their star player? Can you imagine Taurasi in a locker room with fiery personalities like Jai Carrington and Lisa Smith? That would be complete chaos, but it would also serve as a masterclass for those young players on what it takes to succeed in this league.
I mean, you see her in a Dallas jersey? Do we see that? Check this out. If she went to the Dallas Wings, it would be Diana Carrington, Nalissa Smith, and Diana Taurasi all on the same team in the same locker room. But get a gas can and just burn that locker room to the ground, because that would be the most toxic locker room in the league. Ooh. And that would make for some very interesting games against the Fever.
The days when soldiers could choose when they were finished and were in charge of their own story till retirement are long gone. Not only is Clark's stratospheric rise altering who watches, but it is also causing a fundamental change in the way the WNBA functions. The emphasis is now on creating new legacies rather than maintaining existing ones, which is a difficult pill for any legend to swallow.
Quote, I want to play every single coach, every single player, every single person that's put on a WNBA jersey, because it takes the village for everyone who played before this league and where it is now. We're thankful for you guys. We're thankful for the next generation, Taurasi said on September 20th.
Experts also observe it. What we're witnessing is a seismic shift in the factors driving women's basketball ahead, not just a decline in skills with age, which is normal and happens to everyone. The most important currency these days is youth marketability and new vitality, and Clark has all three in spades.
You know, a lot of people say that Caitlin Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle. She dictates. We all know what she's done on the floor. It's history, right? But off the floor, my goodness.
And let's face it, this isn't the polite, orderly torch passing ceremony that sports frequently act as though they care about. Instead, a torch is being yanked away before Taurasi was ready to let it go. It's messy, uncomfortable, and extremely upsetting to watch Clark take what she feels is rightfully hers without waiting her turn or requesting permission.
Here's the thing about Clark. She doesn't even need to be promoted. She just doesn't need to be crapped on. The problem is when she's crapped on. Anything is promotion of her. She can appear anywhere and it blows up. I guarantee you the views for that commercial are their highest from the series, or the cut up pieces from the commercial. I have no doubt in my mind.
Look, we're not just witnessing a rookie have a successful season. We're witnessing history being made. Clark's game attendance is soaring, and it's expected to rise even further the following season. You may believe that this is the pinnacle, but it's only the beginning.
Look, I don't know about you guys, although I gotta admit, there's a selfish part of me that would love to see Caitlin Clark just run over Diana Taurasi again, like 2 or 3 more times this year. I mean, yeah, that would bring a smile to my face.
Not only is Clark setting the standard, but she is also redefining what it means to be the face of women's basketball. Her dynamic play style is drawing in viewers who had never given the WNBA a second look before, and her marketability is through the roof. She is not merely carrying on the tradition of her predecessors. She is building a legacy that will be used by future generations to gauge their own performance. The most intriguing aspect of Clark's tale is that it is only beginning. The only question worth asking at this point is how far she will carry women's basketball. The throne has a new tenant.